cutie pies. I am Lanikia, and you are watching What Happened on the Soaps. This is Days of Our Lives edition. Today is Tuesday, December the 5th, 2023. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give this a solid 7. It was another good episode. It was solid. All right, we start off with Rafe and Harris. So Rafe and Harris are talking, and he says, "Listen, evidence was stolen from the evidence room, and it was, to put this drug dealer away." And he was like, "What? All of that?" And he was like, "Yes." He said, "And I think it's a funny coincidence that your keys went missing, and all of a sudden that evidence got stolen." So he tells him, like, "You have to give up your badge because you're going to be suspended." Because Harris was like, "Hold on." So um, he just says, you're gonna have to give up your badge and everything. And Harris was like, "I understand. I thought I know I didn't leave them down where they were found at." And Rafe said, "I'm just joking." I said, "See, Rafe, I don't like when people play like that." No, I hate that. But anyways, that's the end of them, y'all. He pretty much tells him, we don't. There was no breaking and entering or anything, so they had to have gotten in there using some kind of way, your keys or something. We just got to figure out how it was done. So then we see Ava and Stefan. So he comes to her. She's at the restaurant. He scares her, because he's sneaking up on her. She was like, "How did you get in here?" And he said, Clyde made sure that he had a key. But anyways, he's in there because he wants to take Clyde out. He said that's the only way I see us getting from under Clyde's thumb is that if we go ahead and take him out. And she said, how are we going to do that? He said, "My mother has a man on the inside." And he went to telling her the plan about how his mother has a man on the inside and he can get him to take him out. All he has to do is call his mother, and that'll be that. And she said, "Sir, if we do that, then if we were to do that, then what if the man can't do it? Then we'd be in more trouble with Clyde. Like if the plan goes wrong, then Gabby and Trip would for sure be in danger. So this is not a good plan to me." And he said, "Well, what do you suggest we do?" And she said, "Well, we're not going to do this. We're going to have to just take our time and find out a different type of way and keep doing what we have to do for Clyde in the meantime." And so around this time, Harris comes in. And so then Stephen tells him that he owns the place now, and him and Ava were talking about waste management. And she said, "Yeah, because we don't want to use the methods that Stephen is talking about. He's talking about going green and all that, but I don't want him to make any decisions, right now." And he reassures her, because y'all know they talking about taking Clyde out, and he reassures her that he won't make any of those type of decisions. Because Stephen, if that man can't take him out, and Clyde finds out what y'all are doing, Gabby is a sitting duck in prison, and Trip might be free, but he's still a sitting duck as well. So, anyways, Harris talks to Ava about everything, just catching up, and then he tells her that somebody went into the evidence room, and he was wondering when the last time she saw his keys. Does she remember or whatever? I said, "Ava about to mess up this relationship." I don't know why she wouldn't just tell Harris the truth from the very beginning, but it is what it is. She's not gonna get this man. So then we go over here. Is anyone still seeing Harris as Jason, or are you starting to see him more in the Harris role? I feel like I'm starting to see him more as Harris, but let's keep moving. So then we go over here with Sloan, Nicole, and Eric. And baby, Nicole is like, "So why don't you want us to see the results?" Because Sloan, "because you know this baby is mine." And Sloan is like, "That's not it. Eric, you didn't get my permission." Eric said, "It doesn't matter now, Sloan. The results are right here." And Sloan doesn't want him to read them, so she's trying to stop it. But there's no logical reason for her not to want them to read these results. And so Eric was like, "Everything's gonna be all fine." And Nicole was just like, "You don't want him to read the results because you know this baby's gonna turn out to be mine. That's why you don't want him to do it." Um, but he says, and Eric's like, "Let's just do these results and then we'll see. The baby won't be yours." And Sloan, she can't do anything, so she's like, "Fine." So then Nicole grabs the results out of Eric's hand and she reads them. And she's let down because they say that the baby is not hers. They're not a match. And she's like, I don't understand. No, this doesn't make sense. How could this happen? That just doesn't make any sense to me. And then we see that then we see that, she's emotional and she can't believe it. And Eric tries to comfort her and tell her he's sorry. And she said, are you really sorry? No, you just did this to appease me. You didn't think that this was my baby. I mean, for a minute. I said, well, Nicole, Eric has no reason to believe this would have been your child. I know she does, but he doesn't have a reason to. That's why he was okay with the doing of the test results, because he doesn't know it's their baby. He doesn't even know he was the father of Nicole's child. So, like, yeah, it makes sense that he would just do this to get you to pipe down. That's what he did. And so then Kayla comes in and she says, oh, and they said, oh, Kayla, we already went over the results without you. And she says, oh, okay. Do you need me to clarify anything? And Sloan is like, no. I mean, they say that she's not the child doesn't belong to her. And Kayla and Nicole says, "No, I do need you to clarify. Were you use my DNA and the babies?" And Kayla says, "No." And I said, "Oh Lord!" And because y'all know, we thought maybe Nicole picked up the wrong toothbrush, but that's not it. They said they couldn't get enough DNA off Nicole's toothbrush. I said, "Okay." I, this is dazing, right? So instead of going to Nicole and saying, Nicole, let's swab you because we couldn't get enough of your DNA, they said, you know what, we got EJ's DNA on the file. Let's just try to match the baby and EJ. It makes so much sense, but it doesn't make sense, right? You got the mama right there. Why wouldn't you just go swab? I guess they said we ain't got time for all that. But how much time would it have taken? I don't know, child. But they either way, y'all done made Nicole lose her baby. So they're just like, oh, since we couldn't get we couldn't get enough DNA off this toothbrush, let's just take EJ's and do it that way. And that's exactly what they did. And of course, we know that wasn't gonna be a match. And so Sloan, Sloan, her face, if you didn't watch it, you gotta go see it. Sloan's face when she finds out what they did was like, whoo. Say, girl, you ain't no good. You my girl, but you're no good. And so Nicole was like, oh, and so Sloan is like, see, Nicole, if this is your baby with EJ, I said, look at that lawyer working, wording this stuff. But she was like, if it was your baby with EJ, it would have been a match, right? It's not a match. And so Nicole is upset at this point, and Eric continues to tell her he's sorry. And she's like, you're not sorry. Stop it. Stop saying that to me. And she going off a little bit. She was like, I was just so sure this was my baby. And she said, I'm going to get out of here. But before she leaves, she looks down at the baby and she says goodbye. And then she leaves. And baby, Sloan's face once again, when that was all over with, Sloan was relieved. And so they go home. Eric and Sloan go home, right? And she's up. He was like, I know you're upset with me. And she said, you took our baby for a DNA test and didn't get my permission for that. He said, but I just wanted to show Nicole that wasn't her child. This isn't her son. And, it put all of that to bed. And on top of that, it wasn't like it was a surgery or anything like that. It was just a DNA test. And he tried to tell her, but she was so busy with her client. And she said, oh, that's right, my client. Because she forgot all about what she had. Sloan got too much stuff going on. She forgot all about what she had going on with with Dimitri, EJ, and Leo. So she was like, yeah. And so the baby starts crying at this time. So she calls the phone, calls Rafe. And Rafe lets her know that everything worked out. And she was like, oh, okay, good. So then we see we see Dimitri, EJ, and Leo. And when he comes in, he says, okay, I'm here. Let my man go. This is Dimitri to EJ. And EJ said, no, I'm not going to do any such thing. And he said, no, we had a deal. EJ ripped that deal up. And he said, now I have you both, and there's nothing stopping me from prosecuting you. And Dimitri was like, you don't have us both, because we had a deal, and it was my client signed. He said, but I didn't sign. So Dimitri was like, that doesn't matter. We still had a agreement, and you have to keep your end of the bargain. And Leo, excuse me, EJ was like, when did you become a lawyer? And Leo tells him, oh, in 2013, he did something. I can't remember what he did, but he became some type of lawyer, or he was going to classes for it, and so that's how he was able to outmaneuver EJ. Child, I came with them. I said, okay, this is just days, and again, let's go ahead and go with it. So he tells him, you got what you want, you got me. Um, so let's go ahead and do it, and you're not gonna put me down for murder, because that baby was fine when I dropped the baby off. And everything. So you can get me for all those other charges, but you can't get Leo. You got the big fish. You got to take this deal, or we both walk out of here. And so he was like, "This is a police station with all these cops and stuff." But Demetri was like, "We got our ways. Like you can't, you won't be able to hold us because we didn't confess to anything. It doesn't matter about all that." And you know what? I was watching one of those ID shows. Y'all know I love ID, and they no, it wasn't ID. It was I think it was ATL Homicide on TV1. And these people had got together and they had committed a crime, which was murder. And one man, he never said anything. He didn't talk to lawyers. He didn't talk to anyone. He never said anything. Y'all know that man got off because the other people were like, no, he was in on it with us. He helped us with this, but because he never spoke and he never said anything, they couldn't they couldn't get him. I guess it was they were, I guess, because where they are located, if even if someone says yeah they did it, if that person doesn't confess to it and everything, it's just is what it is. I said, oh my gosh, you he knew the law. I said he figured it all out before he went in there, and y'all was gonna arrest him anyways, y'all. So I guess that's what Dimitri and them are trying to say was going down with them. So EJ was like, fine, he's gonna let Leo go, and they can arrest Dimitri. So Dimitri, he goes out. Leo, EJ goes out and tell Rafe to arrest him, right? So Dimitri and Leo are left alone in the room a little bit, and so they're talking, and they're just talking about, I can't believe you did this, and he says, I wasn't going to. Your little friend, Jackie Cox, came, and they wanted to get me to escape and all this. He said, but I just couldn't leave you here. So they're talking, right, going back and forth, and Rafe is about to come in and arrest Dimitri because Leo is free now. And but before he does, Leo says they could still get us on murder charges, or they could still try to put in murder charges. He said, no, they can't. That baby is alive. And Leo said, what you talking about? Nicole's baby died. And he said, no. And so he tells him what went down, right? And he said, Dimitri's like, I probably shouldn't have said anything. And I said, is Demetri leaving the show now, or are they just gonna put him in prison? I don't know. But he said, I probably shouldn't have said anything, but he said it, and that's how we saw in a little clip about Leo going to Sloan and telling her he knows what she did. But I don't know, child. Y'all tell me what you think. So then we go over here because Rafe comes in, he arrests Dimitri. So then we come over here to Nicole and EJ, and she's sitting there. She's made it back to the mansion, and she's sitting down, and EJ comes in, and he lets her know that he had to let Leo go, but he did get Dimitri, but he couldn't get him on felony charges, but he is going to spend some time in jail, in prison. And she's like, it doesn't even matter because our baby is gone. And she tells him about what went down with the DNA, how Holly thought maybe they should get a DNA testing. And he was like, what? She was like, you were too busy and I didn't think you would support me on it. So that's why I didn't tell you about what was going on. She said, but it doesn't even matter because it turns out the baby is not ours. She's like, I was so convinced that the baby was ours. And then she was like, and when I held the baby at the crash site, I didn't even know the baby was dying. How could a mother not know that? I wasn't even aware of it. You want some water? What is that? Okay. How could a mother not know that, not know her baby was literally dying in her arms? And so she's all upset with herself about it. And then she said, but I was so sure when I held Eric and Sloane's baby. I thought it was my baby. Like, I how could I believe that that baby was mine? But it is what it is. She was right. That is her baby, but they've covered it up. So we will see what happens when how all of this will come out. I don't see it coming out anytime soon. But unless somebody opens that envelope that's in that safe and finds out that that's Eric's child, I don't see this coming out anytime soon. But we shall see, y'all. Because now EJ is just holding Nicole and just telling her we'll grieve and mourn this together.